So there are obviously a ton of important questions to ask related to immigration and to crime in New Jersey, but I'm going to focus first on the moment that's dominating the headlines right now, which is the charges that have been brought against Congresswoman LaMonica McIver for allegedly assaulting immigration officials when she was conducting an oversight visit at Delaney Hall in Newark. So I just want to ask you simply, she is claiming that these charges are politically motivated. Senator Bramnick, do you believe that these are politically motivated?
Well, let me first say, the law in New Jersey is very clear. If you touch a police officer, that's aggravated assault. Now, if I come to arrest Joey Fox, whether I'm right or wrong, David Wildstein cannot block me or touch me to get to arrest you. Now, you can sue me later because I shouldn't have arrested Joey Fox, but you cannot obstruct. So if the video shows a congressperson or anybody else is obstructing the arrest of an individual, that's what the law is. Now, I also saw that they dropped the charges against Ras Baraka. That's pretty quick. I've represented people on trespassing charges. That was pretty quick. So it sounds as if maybe those allegations weren't so strong. This one, based on what I saw in the video, and once again, I'll let justice, be heard, but you can't get in the way of an arrest. I mean, I hate to tell you, Congress, I don't like the fact that you're arresting Congress. I would hope we wouldn't do that. I would hope we wouldn't arrest mayors. I just think in this environment, she's got a little bit of a problem.
Bill Spadia. Bill.
I would hope that a member of Congress would have more sense than to hit a police officer. That's what I would hope. So I hope she is charged to the full extent of the law and serves whatever punishment is appropriate. We need to protect our members of law enforcement. This was a total political stunt by a bunch of folks that have Trump derangement syndrome and are complicit in the sanctuary state that is crushing our budget and endangering our communities. So it's too bad they dropped the charges against Ras Baraka, but I'll tell you this, the Democrat Party is so radical in their leadership now, this might actually catapult him to the nomination. God willing.
First of all, this is a federal detention center that's detaining people that came here illegally and committed crimes. I don't know exactly what it is that we're protesting. Second of all, if these congressional people purposely set up their visit, and congressional people should have access to a federal detention center, if they did that purposely to benefit the mayor of Newark, who's a Democratic gubernatorial candidate, shame on them, and they should be dealt with by their congressional colleagues in Washington. But the video shows that this person, who you mentioned, laid her hands on another person. And so that to me says that the charges are legitimate.
So all I can tell you is pretty sad when we get to the point where our society is so divided that political leaders are being arrested and it's us versus them. Once again, this is a dangerous, dangerous foreshadowing of the future of our country if this continues, and we need to stop all of it.
So, Mr. Chettarelli, I want to follow up on something that both of your opponents briefly mentioned, which is the fact that interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba chose to drop the charges against Mayor Baraka. Do you think that was the right call?
I think it was the right call to level charges against the congressperson who laid hands on the law enforcement professional.
Well, but so I'll ask again. I mean, like, this was the original impetus for this was the arrest of Mayor Baraka.
I'm not an attorney.
Okay,
so I trust her judgment. I think she's done the right thing thus far, and that includes charging this congressperson for aggravated assault.
But that's my point. My point is, even if the arrest of Ras Baraka was improper, wrong, or there wasn't evidence, that's a different issue whether you can get involved. I'm recommending everyone, if you see a police officer arresting somebody, like, you can't stop it even if it's illegal. Even it's illegal, you can sue later for damages. So that's why I'm saying one has very little to do with the other.
Bill.
Well, I'd like to know if there'll be charges at any level to some of these Democratic mayors who are actively evading ICE and protecting the illegal residents that they have from capture. They're blocking the enforcement of the law. I'd like to see Alina Habba start to talk about that, because we cannot have elected officials actively and openly flaunting and breaking the law because of their political persuasions. It's outrageous.
So I'll drill down next on more of sort of the everyday worries that New Jerseyans have about crime. I think everyone on this stage is going to tell me that they would fight crime as governor and work to make New Jerseyans feel more safe. What specifically would you do to do that? I'll start with you, Mr. Spadia. What are 2 policies that right away you would work to implement that you think would bring down crime?
First thing I'm going to do on that very busy day one, very busy, is declare a state of emergency.
You give us a call down at Drumthwacket. I'll take your call.
You take my call?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. That's good. It's good to know.
On day one, I'm
Backup
happy.
plan.
Come on down for breakfast.
Day one, declare a state of emergency when it comes to public safety, and we're going to suspend bail reform. Bail reform has got to go. It is completely outrageous. Step 2 is we're going to empower the Attorney General to change the rules of engagement for our police officers. The way to get safe streets is we need our cops to be able to do their job. Right now, they're looking over their shoulder. They're worried about being the next viral video. They're worried about the governor's office and the AG coming after them for doing their job. This Attorney General charged a police officer in a shooting in South Jersey after the last AG said the police officer was doing his job. So we've got a politicized department in the AG's office now. We're going to end that. So end bail reform and start enforcing federal detainer orders, working directly with enforcement and removal operations. And I'm the only one on this stage who's had the conversation with Tom Homan about what that day one looks like.
We have a number of repeat offenders in this state, and part of that is there is no real effectual warrant squad, meaning there are thousands of warrants outstanding where there are people who violated the law, but the only reason we find them is because they're pulled over by accident or they're arrested for something else. We must start by making sure those warrants are executed and we bring those people to justice. We absolutely smart. No bad. The other one is juvenile justice. I don't think there is any. You could steal a car 4 times as a juvenile, you're not going to jail. The theory was, and I think it's a theory that I learned in law school, it's all about rehabilitation. Well, let me tell you about that 15 or 16-year-old who stole a car 4 times. I'm not sure you're going to rehabilitate him. Maybe you should put him away for a short period of time, or maybe for a long period of time.
Jack Titterone.
Joey, our local police chiefs report to the county prosecutors. The 21 county prosecutors appoint to the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the head law enforcement officer in the state. Mine will be on the same page as me in terms of getting rid of sanctuary cities, sanctuary state. Mine will be on the same page with me in reforming bail reform. It's been a failed experiment. We've created professional criminals. Talk to local police. Arrest, release, repeat is real. It's demoralizing for a cop to arrest somebody in the morning, have them be out by 1 in the afternoon, and they've committed the same crime in the next town over that afternoon. So I also think we need to stop with the getting rid of qualified immunity, stop with the civilian review boards with subpoena power. I don't have a problem with no-knock warrants. I don't have a problem with canines for crowd control. I don't have a problem necessarily with high-speed chases. Take the handcuffs off our local police. Let them do their jobs to keep our communities safe. What my parents always taught me is, if you've done nothing wrong, you got nothing to worry about.
Bill Spade and then husband.
You know what was demoralizing for our law enforcement? When Jack Ciattarelli in the Assembly said they were overpaid volunteers. That was demoralizing. So I think we are absolutely at a crossroads here where we need a governor who understands law enforcement, understands the sacrifice that they go through, and make sure that we empower them. Absolutely stand up for qualified immunity, get rid of bail reform, and fight for our police officers.
And if you
Both will get 30. Both get 30.
if you take a shot every time he lies, you'd be drunk by now. So I don't suggest you do that. But you want to talk about demoralizing local law enforcement? Go to the videotape, and you'll see him talking about getting rid of all public pensions.
Wait, where can I find the videotape? Is there a website? Come on, Jack. Come on.
I'll take a look at it all on day one. We need to upgrade some of the offenses from a 3rd degree, which is a presumption of non-incarceration, to a presumption of incarceration, which is basically a 2nd degree. Because some of these 3rd degrees are pretty serious, especially in terms of car theft, and even the Democrats are jumping on the bandwagon now, because they realize they're getting the same heat from their constituents. Let's make sure we want to treat criminals like they're criminals. That's a pretty simple concept. That's what I'm going to do. You're a bad guy, you go to jail. Simple as that.
So I do want to ask one other question on this sort of broad topic, which is that, crime statistics can be or can be interpreted to show a lot of different things. But in general, crime statistics in New Jersey do not show a massive increase in violent crime, a massive increase in murders, anything like that. And there's sort of a separate problem of people's perceptions of how safe they are, of how much crime there is. So I'll start with you, Mr. Citarelli. How do you, in addition to dealing with actual crimes that happen, how do you work to sort of better those perceptions, even when crime isn't necessarily rising, but people are worried?
Joey, it's clear, nonviolent crime is down. To show you what a hypocrite Phil Murphy is, when the Bruin decision came down that said people have a right to carry and conceal, he had a press conference that said, watch violent crime go through the roof. 2 months ago, he had a press conference celebrating the decrease in violent crime across New Jersey. Nonviolent crime is through the roof. Break-ins and car thefts because of the professional criminals we've created through the failure of bail reform. So I couldn't disagree with you more. Look at the statistics. Nonviolent crime is up. And if you're a first-time nonviolent offender in my administration, what I'd like to see is criminal justice reform. When you come before the judge, first-time nonviolent offender, you could do your time, which costs taxpayers $50,000 a year. We give you an ankle bracelet, send you to vocational training for $50,000 a year, or you go in the military. But we're not letting you go just free. And let me say one other thing. That 14-year-old that was working for the gang in Newark that shot and killed a police officer while he was sitting in his car under Governor Citarelli and my Attorney General, that person will be tried as an adult.
Bill Spadia.
On this issue of crime, statistics are always misleading. If you look at Monmouth County, you have a double-digit increase in car thefts, and now 2/3 of those car thefts accompany a home invasion. So we have this escalation of nonviolent turning into potentially violent. So people are fearful, no doubt about it. In Louisiana, the new governor worked with the parish prosecutors to start charging 14-year-olds across the board. I mean, obviously, I favor the death penalty for cop killers. And I think that is something that is very important to get back. That obviously is something that's going to have to go through the legislature, but I favor that. But across the board, 14-year-olds for certain crimes that endanger people should be charged as adults. We've seen the closure of, I believe it's 5 county jails over the course of the last few years. We need to reopen them and fill them, and we're going to do that because when you end bail reform, you're going to end a lot of these repeat offenders.
Mr. Bremnick, I want to let you weigh in, but I also am curious, just because Mr. Spadia brought it up, would you support bringing back the death penalty as well?
Well, not only would I bring it back, but I was in the legislature on law and public safety when we had the hearings on the death penalty, and I always supported the death penalty, and I was against eliminating the death penalty, and I served on that committee. And I believe that in certain instances, the death penalty, when you murder and rape a child, okay, if you have absolutely no morals whatsoever, you should consider and know that you might be put to death. I don't have a problem for that. If you do something that's so heinous, that's what society is going to do to you, 100%. So I have a voting record on that, not a radio record.
Mr. Citarelli, do you want to weigh in on that issue quickly, too?
Certainly support the death penalty when it comes to things like serial killers, mass murderers, and terrorists.